So I've got Joe at Get Your Tips Out. When you're looking at a horse that's running first time in a handicap for a specific trainer, is this something that you look for that can influence who you're predicting to win the race?
Yeah, definitely something you have to look at before. In the first three qualifying runs, sometimes they're run over inadequate trips. A lot of the time, you can get like a point-to-pointer was run over 3 miles and then starts out over 2 miles, sort of finishes down the field. What you've got to think about is the horse is always learning and maturing all the time. So if they're thinking it's a longer-term project, they're not going to run it under ideal conditions. They're going to wait until the horse has developed, filled out a bit. So it's definitely something you have to look at, because obviously horses can be let in leniently and be well handicapped and be well in. There was a horse over jumps recently, a White Rhino, that I think started out around 74 and has just progressed and progressed and progressed. So it's definitely something to look out for. If you can catch a horse that you think is well handicapped, and then it can go on a winning run, win 3 or 4 on the bounce.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're looking over the hurdles or over chases, if a horse in the maiden kind of company before it's even got a handicap mark doesn't jump very well, hits 1 or 2 fences, it could end up having quite a low handicap mark that you might feel, actually, if he's going to start improving those jumps, he's going to have quite a lot in hand.
Yeah.
And like you said, with these certain horses that as a 2-year-old on the flat might be running over 5 and 6 furlong, but you know that the breeding is that they're going to stay a mile. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Prescott comes to mind, that when he starts getting a horse and he's going up in trip to 1 mile, to 1 mile 2, to 1 mile 4, it just seeks more and more improvement out of him. So because they're bred to stay further, but in the 2 mile races, it might only be 6 and 7 furlong that they're running over. So it's definitely something, it's an important factor, I feel. It's one of many factors for you to look at to see whether you think it's worth the value in the betting ring on what odds that they've got them up at.
Yeah, to be honest, it's one of my favourite angles on the flat. Which, like you said, when you see a horse that started off over sort of sprint trips, just been taken off his feet as a 2-year-old, and then you sort of mark that down in your notes, like the breeding is bred for a mile plus. As soon as it gets stepped up in trip, if you back that at a big price on Handicap Davies, it's a good feeling to sort of, confirms what you saw in it in the early stages. So it's definitely a good angle to look at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes you jump on the bandwagon then, so you back them the next time. And sometimes you can go on 3 or 4 wins on the bounce. It's a nice little strategy for you. You feel like they're going to keep improving, and they do.
Yeah.
It's nice when you get them early.